Man, it is big 2026 and we still can't escape discourse about TV ratings, can we? Whenever they get brought up, what inevitably follows is doomerism, warnings about cancellation, or some other type of agenda posting. And not fun, self-aware agenda posting, the sad kind. Unfortunately, the discussion is always hijacked by people who have very little understanding of what they're trying to interpret. I was going to write up a primer on my website, but I know Pokemon fans don't read. So here is a video instead, explaining what is going on with Pokemon's TV ratings and how to respond the next time some charlatan starts telling you that Pokemon is going to be cancelled any day now. Before we talk about what Pokemon's ratings are, we need some background to understand what they actually do. TV viewership determines the price of advertising in a particular time slot on a particular network. Higher viewership means higher prices. This is true for websites as well. Popular YouTubers promote malware for money. Unpopular YouTubers like me don't turn on ads at all because there's no point. That's the simple version. The reality is more complicated. Different types of shows attract different levels of advertising dollars. Children's TV is generally not a good investment for the broader catch of high-valued sponsors because children don't have a lot of money. As a result, Google is not spending money to advertise on Nickelodeon. The way anime is financed also complicates things. TV anime are generally unprofitable on their own. They're only sustainable with some other type of money coming in. Astro Boy and Gundam had merchandise. Anime adaptations of manga have, well, manga. More adult anime, those that air in late-night slots, rely heavily on home video sales. Even with multiple revenue streams, there's no guarantee that any of these schemes will draw profit. So to mitigate risk, the cost of funding an anime is split between multiple parties. You can tell a lot about how an anime is funded by looking at who is on the production committee, listed at the end of every opening. By using the opening as a guide, we can see that Pokemon's committee is 3 companies. TV Tokyo, Softex, aka MediaNet, which is also TV Tokyo, don't worry about that, it's not important, and Shogakukan. You might be wondering, what about the Pokemon Company? Or Game Freak? Or Nintendo? They, alongside JR Kikaku, an advertising agency, are involved, but since they're not listed here, they are not putting actual dollars towards the production of the anime. That means they are not paying the writers, directors, or animation staff to actually make the thing. Because of that, they don't decide the fate of the anime. They have a say in the content, of course, but Shogakukan and TV Tokyo are the ones who decide whether there will be an anime and what format it comes in. TV Tokyo is the party that gets paid directly from ad revenue. They are the TV station. They decide whether or not Pokemon will be on their network. According to sources from the early days of Pokemon, TV Tokyo pays roughly half of the production costs, and in exchange they get the proceeds from ad sales, as well as the rights to sell the show to other stations and streaming platforms. Shogakukan, on the other hand, is a company that publishes magazines and educational books for children, specializing in character marketing. They are a production company, not a network. Shogakukan does not get paid from ad revenue. In fact, they actually buy most of the ad space that TV Tokyo profits from, and in terms of overall dollars spent, Shogakukan has the most investment in the Pokemon anime. Let's take a step back to understand how they make money. If you ever pay attention to the ads that run during Pokemon's Japanese broadcast, you'll notice a few patterns. The first is that 90% of the commercials are Pokemon related, either the games or the cards or merchandise or Pokemon branded snacks and toys. Most of the products are directly made by Shogakukan. The rest are made by other Pokemon licensees, and those are companies that have historically worked closely with Shogakukan, like Takara Tomy, the creators of Beyblade and Zoids, or Lot, the chocolate company responsible for Picori chocolates, or McDonald's, which is just McDonald's. Even when these companies don't have a Pokemon product to sell, they still get ad time during Pokemon broadcasts because of their close ties to Shogakukan. Alright, so here's the really important part. If TV Tokyo ever decided to cancel Pokemon, then Shogakukan could ostensibly fund the anime going to a different network and drag the sponsors over with it. If Shogakukan decided to cancel the anime, TV Tokyo and the rest of the stakeholders would have to find someone else to foot the bill, and the Pokemon Company is not willing to do that. As a result, Shogakukan has the most influence on the direction and format of the anime. And just to make this point very clear, Shogakukan is not going to cancel the Pokemon anime unless something really bad happens. They have an entire business segment dedicated just to Pokemon. They make money from the anime through sales of products that are promoted during Pokemon's broadcast. This includes their magazines like CoroCoro and Chao that host Pokemon manga. This includes home video sales in Japan. This includes merchandise that they make directly and that they license to their co-sponsors. The anime is Shogakukan's main buy-in to the Pokemon business, and they make so much more money by slapping Pikachu's face on the grade school textbook that it is unlikely that they will ever drop it. That is also why Pokemon has been a year-round anime since 1997. That is the business that Shogakukan is in. Alright, so TV ratings now. Japanese TV ratings are measured by an independent firm called Video Research. Each week they publish a list of the top 10 original airing shows in a couple different genres, including sports, news, variety, and of course, anime. Each line here lists a show's rating as a percentage of the real-time viewership based on the number of homes with TVs. They use the Kanto region as their study group and then extrapolate to national numbers. There are problems with that method, but that is what they do. In 2024, there were about 116,143,000 people in Japan with a television in their household, so a rating of 1% is about 1.16 million people. When Pokémon first started airing, it was routinely in Video Research's top 10. They got anywhere from 8% to 20% rating, averaging in the mid-teens after mid-season. Kanto is the only series to end with a higher rating than it began with because of Pokemania. Every series afterwards progressively drew a lower and lower rating share. You can see spikes whenever a new series starts, but by the second year the ratings flatten out to what they were in the final year of the previous series. This trend is completely boring and unremarkable. Long-running shows tend to decline in ratings over time naturally. Breaking Bad is like the exception. Moreover, even as cord cutting has become more prominent, TV has become more decentralized. There are more channels today, meaning that viewership is dispersed more readily. If you take the top 10 chart from 2025 and compare it to, say, 2005, you'll find that even the top performing anime have had their rating shares cut significantly. The reason is that, the top 10 anime each week are usually children's shows, and young children's shows. And Japan is going through this whole aging problem, so a greater proportion of the population is adults and not watching children's anime. As of about 2018, Pokémon began to fall out of the top 10 more often than not. The reason is not due to the content of the then ongoing Sun and Moon series, but rather due to a change in the time slot. TV Tokyo decided to move Pokémon from its traditional Thursday evenings to Sunday afternoons and put it head-to-head with Chibi Maruko-chan. This was an awful idea. Chibi Maruko-chan is in the top 3 most weeks, and at the time, Pokémon was 9th or 10th on a good week. It's only from that point onward, even with another time change to Friday nights, that Pokémon started falling out of the top 10 more frequently than it appeared. Journeys appeared in the top 10 13 times overall, and Horizons has so far appeared 19 times. The rating share that Horizons pulls is still lower on average. What the ratings are exactly, we don't know, because Video Research only gives the ratings for the top 10. Anything lower than that requires non-publicly available information, and I'm gonna be real with you, no blue checkmark on Twitter with bad takes is paying for that information. But before the doom posting begins, there is no reason to think that TV Tokyo is unhappy with the ratings as is. They are a network that specializes in anime. They feature about 30 series each year now. When Pokemon does get into the top 10 these days, it is usually the only one that airs on TV Tokyo, with the exception of Spy Family. They continue to list Pokemon alongside Naruto, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Bleach as one of their most prominent anime properties, even saying in their FY 2026 financial results that royalties for Pokemon have actually increased, regardless of the declining ratings. One of the other things that you always have to remember is that TV Tokyo is a weaker channel than the other main broadcasters. Its average ratings are about half of its competitors. Friday nights are also a bad time for anime because they have to compete against reruns of Ghibli movies. Because of that, TV Tokyo has been heavily investing in moving its programs onto streaming platforms. New episodes of Pokémon are streamed live on TV or in Nico Live. VODs get posted to YouTube, Netflix, Amazon, Unext, and Abema. Regardless, remember that the core value of TV ratings is determining whether or not you can sell ad space, and Shogakukan and its partners always buy that ad space. So to sum up, the two parties most responsible for the Pokemon anime seem to be happy with the money they are making from it, regardless of the decline of viewership. In North America, Pokemon is one of the highest viewed anime on Netflix, even with all the different streaming platforms and fast channels that have access to bits and pieces of it. Pokemon isn't going anywhere. Pokemon is bigger than Jesus. For the people who are worried that the decline in ratings might lead to a change in creative direction, that's more reasonable. It has happened before. The soft reboot and Best Wishes and Ash's retirement were due to the fact that the show had too much continuity to be accessible to new children. The change from X and Y to Sun and Moon was likely in part due to the fact that X and Y overperformed with teenagers and underperformed with younger viewers. But let's take stock of what's really going on in these situations. Pokemon's demographic is 4 to 12-year-olds. Again, if you watch the commercials that play during Horizons, you'll see that sponsorships lean more towards the younger side of things. Teenagers can buy Curious George Happy Meals, but that's not who the intended audience is. The big changes that have happened usually take place between series. They are not panic button reactions to low ratings, they're changes made to make the show accessible to kids who haven't gotten the chance to grow up with the show. As adults, we're not going to like every change that happens, but it's also our obligation, and privilege, to hate what younger people are doing anyway. But there is good news for us geriatrics. Even if the format of the anime is decided by business suits, the content of the show is mostly driven by people who do want to make good art. The Sun and Moon transition didn't happen because executives were afraid of Yokai Watch. Director Daiki Tomiyasu and character designer Satoshi Nakano wanted to try something new that they thought looked cool. But even in the C-suite, there are allies. Ken Sugimori has been supervising the anime's production since the very beginning because he is a huge anime fan. When the executives decided that it was time to retire Ash, he was in their meetings urging them to respect the feelings of longtime fans. That's us. Finally, if you're the other type of complainer, an adult who spouts off half-baked information about ratings to try and drive an agenda about what the anime should do, I want you to remember the following. Pokémon is not falling behind quality shows. It's also not falling behind Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Digimon, or Yokai Watch, or Beyblade, or any of the usual ops. All of these shows are falling behind Butt Detective. Kids are not watching Butt Detective for the deep writing or the sakuga. They are watching it because it is about a giant butt solving crimes. If your ego is threatened by the fact that Butt Detective has higher viewership than Pokémon, please get some help. If you found this video helpful, educational, or entertaining, I want to tell you that half of the research found in here was first used in 2 better videos I made. My video on Masakaza Kubo goes into Shogakukan's perspective in more detail. My video about Aya Matsui, Pokemon's first woman writer, discusses TV ratings and the long-term trends of the Pokemon anime through her perspective. And of course, subscribe to Funyarimpa Foundation for more of the same, but better in the future, including a video currently under production about 4Kids Entertainment and how they went out of business.
I am pleased to report, though, that based on our projections, I expect the company to be profitable in the 4th quarter of 2008.